Hiya friends, today we're making some strawberry freezer jam. If you're like me and you've got strawberries all around you, the Amish have them and they're absolutely delicious this year. This is the time of year to make your strawberry freezer jam. I've got the easiest recipe ever for you and you're gonna love it. Welcome back to In the Kitchen with Tabby. Let's get cooking. All right friends, let's get this strawberry freezer jam made. Now, I have the sweetest memories of my mother-in-law making this freezer jam. It was one of the highlights for my boys. We lived right next door when she was still alive. She lived in this house and we lived right next door, and they would come over in the springtime and just wait for her to make the freezer jam. They loved it. And then they would bring a jar home so we could put it in the freezer, and then they just waited to eat it. They thought it was just the best thing ever, and we do too. It's one of my favorite things. Now, I've told you before, she was kind of private about her cooking and her baking and things like that. So I never watched her make the freezer jam. The boys would just come home with it. That was a sweet little time for them to have with her, but I never watched her make it. So when she passed, I had no recipe for the strawberry freezer jam. I didn't know how to make it. So I bought this Certo liquid pectin. Now I like the liquid better. I've tried the powder before, but I really like this liquid. It's just already dissolved and it just works really, really well. So I bought this, and inside of this, you guys know, it has this cute little, piece of paper that has the Certo logo, and it tells you about how to make this freezer jam. And so I thought, well, I'm just gonna give it a shot. And this is the recipe I've used ever since. I absolutely love this recipe. It is so easy, so easy. So what we're doing is, I've got about 4 cups of my fresh berries in this bowl, and I am going to use my little masher here, and I'm just gonna mash them up. All right, I've got them all mashed up. Let me put this in the sink. Now those 4 cups of whole berries become 2 cups of mashed berries. And you can mash them as much as you want. I don't mash these until it's all liquid. We like some chunks in ours. If you wanted it all liquidy, or without the chunks of the strawberries, you could use an immersion blender or something like that. Blend that up really good. You just want to make sure you only have about 2 cups of the, prepared fruit is what they say on the recipe. So about 2 cups of prepared fruit from 4 cups of the fresh fruit. Okay, so we're going to do that. Let's see. I like to use a spoon that is not going to stain, because we're going to put it in those strawberries. So now what I'm going to do is add 4 cups of sugar, granulated sugar. I'm going to add that in. And my sugar, I've told you before, mine is an organic sugar, so it's just kind of a raw sugar, so it has just a little bit of a creamy color to it, or a little bit of a tint of some color to it. But you can use just regular domino sugar or whatever you want to use. So I'm just going to mix this sugar up into the strawberries really, really well. We want to get that sugar all mixed in and combined and getting that dissolved. And once I get this all mixed in, we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes. So just mix all that sugar in and then let it sit for 10 minutes. And we'll start the timer after I'm all done mixing. I wish you could smell this. It smells divine. Absolutely divine. Let me know in the comments if you have a sweet memory of your grandma or mother-in-law or your mom. Let me know what you did with your strawberries. If you made strawberry freezer jam, did you make pies? You guys saw me make a pie the other night. Did you do pies? Did you do pie filling? What did you do with your strawberries? I would love to know, because I still have these and I still have another bowl like this. I'll probably make one more batch of this freezer jam. I like to just do it one batch at a time. I don't ever double this recipe. I always just make it one batch at a time, and then I've got my little jars here off to the side that I will fill. But yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you did with your strawberries and what memories. I love to hear about your memories. Whenever you share those with me, it just makes my heart so happy. So let me know, share some memories with me in the comments, and let me know what you used to do with the strawberries when you were a little kid. When I was a little kid, my mom didn't make strawberry freezer jam. We just ate the strawberries. We didn't grow very many, but we would just eat them. We'd go down in the garden. We didn't use any pesticides or anything like that on our strawberries in the garden when I was little. So we would just go down there and pluck the top off, make sure there was no dirt on it, and just eat them when they were warm. That's how I like them. All right, I've got my timer set for 10 minutes, so we're gonna push this off to the side a little bit here. let that sit. So in my little bowl here, I'm gonna go ahead and add my fruit pectin, this liquid fruit pectin. You wanna make sure you get everything out of that little envelope. Get it all out of that packet. And the recipe says 1 lemon. So I have juiced 1 lemon, but you only need 2 tablespoons. So I may not use all of the lemon juice. All right, got that. And I have my lemon juice here. I'm not gonna mix them together though until the strawberries are ready for that step. So I've got my pectin in my bowl right there. Got my lemon juice here. Strawberries have 8.5 minutes left. And when that's ready to go to the next step, I'll come back and we'll do it together. I won't do it without you, I promise. All right, friends, let's get this freezer jam finished up. So I've got my lemon juice here. I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons and mix it into this pectin. I'm gonna grab just a little bit more because those tablespoons were not quite full. So I do have just a little bit of juice left. I'll throw that in my water for lunch. All right, now I'm gonna mix this up with the pectin. Just mix that lemon juice in with the pectin really well. Now we're gonna pour this pectin into our sugar and strawberry mixture. Now what we're gonna do is set our timer for 3 minutes. And we're gonna stir this for 3 minutes. Just stir it up for 3 minutes. That's getting that fruit pectin all incorporated really well, and it's also helping to dissolve the rest of that sugar. So we're just gonna stir constantly for 3 minutes. We've got 1.5 minutes left, and I could tell when I first started stirring, you could feel just a little bit of that grit from the sugar in there. But as I've been stirring for this 1.5 minutes now, almost 2 minutes, that's completely gone. So you'll feel it that the sugar has dissolved as you're stirring those strawberries. So don't panic if you start to stir and you still feel a little bit of that grittiness from the sugar. It will dissolve. You guys might see these sweet potatoes in the background. You're gonna see that video on Friday. They're really good though. I think you're gonna like them. There's our timer. All right, let's get this poured up into these jars. And of course, these are washed jars, obviously. I'm using my little canning funnel to do this. You want to leave about 1/2 inch at the top of those jars for expanding in the freezer. So just keep that in mind as you're filling your jar. Okay, there's one. I usually leave a little more than 1/2 inch. That's about where I fill mine, to about right there. I probably leave more like 1 inch at the top. Okay, last jar. This one's probably not going to be quite full, but that's okay. This will be the one that we use first. So that one just made a little bit. I could have put this in a little tiny jelly jar, but I just went ahead and did it in this one. All right, now we're gonna put our lids on. Since I used the funnel, I don't have to worry about wiping the rims because there's nothing on them. So we're gonna let these sit at room temperature for 24 hours until they set. And then after 24 hours, you can put it in the refrigerator for up to 3 weeks, use it within 3 weeks, or you can put it in the freezer, make your freezer jam, and it will last for up to a year. But when you take it out of the freezer, you wanna make sure you let it thaw for a little bit before you enjoy it, because that's the best way. Anyway, so there you go. That is the strawberry freezer jam. Now tomorrow, after 24 hours, I will show it to you, and then we will take a little taste. I'm not gonna taste it right now, but we'll take a little taste tomorrow, and then I'm gonna put them in the freezer. And I'm probably gonna make another batch with the rest of those berries. So we'll have 6 or 8 jars to put in the freezer for this year. It's not gonna last us near a year, but it'll get us close. All right, guys, I'll see you just a half a second for you, but it'll be 24 hours for me. Hang tight. All right, friends, there is my strawberry freezer jam. It's kind of run off just a little bit because it's not totally set up yet, but that's okay. It's still gonna be delicious. My berries were really juicy too, which is gonna make it a little more runny. So don't worry if yours turns out a little runny. It will freeze and then you'll be able to let it thaw and it'll be fine. But let's give it a taste. I might need a minute. This might be one of those videos where I eat all of this before we finish wrapping up this video. It is absolutely delicious. It's fresh, not too sweet. It's really not too sweet at all. Of course, jam is sweet anyway, but anyway, it is absolutely incredible. So I'm just using it out. This is just frost here on the side of the jar, but I'm just using this little bit that I had that was a little bit extra. But like I said, it is absolutely incredible. You guys have got to try this recipe. You're gonna absolutely love it. I will put the full recipe in the comments. I'm not gonna put this on my website just because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But the video you will have here on my Facebook page. But like I said, the full recipe will be in the comments down below. Super easy. You guys saw me make it. It's so easy, but so delicious that I think you guys are really gonna love it. And full disclosure, I did finish that little half a piece before I wrapped up this video. All right, you guys, listen, I love you so much. If you enjoyed this video, would you do me a favor? Would you share it with your friends? Spreading it around like some really good butter, sharing it with your family and friends. That is the best way that you can help me and inspire others to get in the kitchen and make something new. I know I've seen a lot of comments today that many of you have never made freezer jam. So here is your sign. This is your encouragement of the day to just get out there and make some grilled chicken or make some freezer jam. Do something you've never done before. All right, guys, I love you so much, but God loves you even more than I do. Don't forget, he's the unseen guest at every dinner table, the silent listener at every conversation. So just make sure those words are pure and sweet like honey, that you're loving on each other, shining that light bright, and just lifting each other up, because that's what we're called to do. I do apologize for the way I look. I'm a little bit of a hot mess because after I got that grilled chicken made today, the folks came to drill our pollinator plot out here in the front yard, or, you know, on our property. And so I've kind of been a little bit distracted trying to get some video and talking with them and learning more about what they're doing. And so I will be sharing that with you soon too. So I apologize for the way I look, but just know that it was for a good reason. All right, guys, I love you. Have a beautiful day. Hope it gets better and better every minute that goes by. Get in the kitchen, make something good, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.